In the winter of 1959, 9 experienced skiers set up camp on a remote Siberian mountainside. They were never seen alive again. When rescuers found their tent weeks later, it was sliced open from the inside. Some were barefoot in -30-degree snow. Others had horrific internal injuries, but no external wounds. To this day, what happened at Dyatlov Pass remains one of history's most bone-chilling unsolved mysteries. This is the full story. It began as an ambitious but routine hiking expedition. Led by 23-year-old Igor Dyatlov, the group consisted of 8 men and 2 women, all students or graduates of the Ural Polytechnic Institute. They were not beginners. Each had earned the Soviet Union's prestigious second-category hiking certification. Their goal, trek 220 miles through the northern Urals to reach Mount Otorten. In the Soviet era, such expeditions were a badge of honor. On January 27th, they took a train to the town of Ivdel. From there, a truck dropped them at the edge of the wilderness. They began their trek on January 28th. The last contact anyone had with them was a photograph, likely taken on February 1st. It shows the group cheerfully building a temporary storage shelter. They were 1 day's march from their final campsite. They never made it to Otorten, and they never came home. When the group failed to send a pre-arranged telegram by February 12th, worried families sounded the alarm. A search party was assembled. On February 26th, student volunteers found the group's tent on the slopes of Kholat Syakhl, a Mansi name meaning Mountain of the Dead. SFX, wind howling softly. What they saw made no sense. The tent was still partially standing, but a large cut ran down its side, not from an animal or avalanche, but made with a knife from the inside, as if the occupants had desperately slashed their way out. Inside, the searchers found most of the group's belongings: warm clothes, food, diaries, and even cameras. It was clear the hikers had left in a sudden, extreme panic. Music becomes more urgent. The first 2 bodies were found 1,300 feet away, under a large cedar tree. Yuri Krivonyshenko and Yuri Doroshenko were dressed only in their underwear. Nearby, the remains of a small fire suggested they had tried and failed to stay warm. 3 more bodies, including that of leader Igor Dyatlov, were discovered between the cedar and the tent. They appeared to have been trying to crawl back to camp when they froze. The remaining 4 hikers would not be found for another 2 months, buried under 13 feet of snow in a ravine further into the woods. All 9 were dead, and the true horror was only just coming to light. The official inquest began immediately, and the evidence they uncovered was stranger than fiction. Clue 1. The panicked escape. The tent was cut from within. Footprints showed the group fled downhill, some barefoot or in single socks, toward the cedar tree. This wasn't a planned evacuation. This was terror. Clue 2. The mysterious injuries. When the final 4 bodies were recovered in May, the mystery deepened. Lyudmila Dubinina and Semyon Zolotaryov had suffered massive internal trauma: crushed ribs, fractured skulls. A medical examiner compared the force to a high-speed car crash. Yet, there was no external bruising. Their skin was unbroken. Clue 3. The radiation. Tests on some of the clothing showed trace levels of radioactive contamination. Where did it come from? Clue 4. The missing soft tissue. Lyudmila was found without her tongue, eyes, and part of her lips. While this was later attributed to animal scavenging and decomposition, it added a grisly layer to the scene. Clue 5. The orange, tan, and strange clothing. Some victims' skin had a strange orange tint, and their hair had turned prematurely gray. One was found wearing a piece of clothing that did not belong to her. Clue 6. The lights in the sky. Other hiking groups in the region that night reported seeing strange orange spheres in the sky toward Kholat Syakhl. This detail was buried in Soviet archives for decades. Music swells slightly. 9 experienced hikers. A panicked, half-dressed flight into a blizzard. A constellation of inexplicable injuries and traces. The stage was set for decades of speculation. So what forced them from their tent? Let's examine the leading theories. Theory 1, the avalanche. Visuals, stock footage of a slab avalanche. Scientific diagrams of slope angle. This is the most accepted modern explanation. A 2021 study proposed that a rare slab avalanche could have hit the camp. The hikers, fearing burial, cut their way out and fled. Later, in the dark, some fell into the ravine, sustaining the crushing injuries. The radiation? From their lantern mantles. The missing avalanche evidence, the wind could have swept it away before the searchers arrived. Verdict: plausible, but many argue the slope was too gentle for a deadly slab. Theory 2, infrasound panic. Visuals, wind simulation over a mountain ridge. Kholat Shakal has a unique shape. Some scientists suggest powerful winds that night created a Kármán vortex street, generating infrasound, sound waves below human hearing. This can induce feelings of intense dread, panic, and even physical illness. Did an infrasound attack trigger a collective irrational flight into the night? Verdict: scientifically possible, but difficult to prove. Theory 3, military testing. Visuals, archival footage of Soviet missile tests, a map showing suspected testing zones. The Urals were a hub for Soviet weapons testing. Were the hikers accidental witnesses to a secret missile launch or radioactive weapon test? Did a panic-inducing sonic weapon misfire? This could explain the panic, radiation, and the government's initial secrecy. Verdict: the Cold War was raging. A cover-up is always possible in the USSR. Theory 4, animal attack or Yeti. Visuals, stock footage of a bear in snow, fictional Yeti silhouette. Did a bear or other predator spook them? The indigenous Mansi people spoke of dangerous spirits on the mountain. Some early investigators noted strange, large footprints, but no animal explains the internal injuries or the lack of defensive wounds. Verdict: largely dismissed. Theory 5, forced down by authorities. Visuals, shadowy figures in snow, tense reenactment, a darker take on the military theory. Did the hikers stumble upon a forbidden military site and were forcibly relocated by KGB or soldiers? Could the internal injuries be from non-lethal weapons like a ballistic riot gun? The state's heavy-handed control of the case files fuels this fire. Verdict: pure conspiracy, but one that reflects deep distrust of Soviet authority. In 2021, a team of Swiss scientists used advanced computer modeling to show a small slab avalanche could have occurred on that specific slope that night. Russian authorities, citing this study, officially closed the case in 2022, endorsing the avalanche as the probable cause. For many, the mystery is solved. A tragic freak accident. But for the families and legions of investigators, questions linger. Why were the diaries of the final 4 hikers never found? Why was the case file classified as top secret for 30 years? Why did the Soviet government initially withhold the hikers' final, haunting photographs? Sometimes, the official answer doesn't quiet all the whispers. So, what do you believe happened on the Mountain of the Dead? A perfect storm of natural terror? A secret buried by the Cold War? Or something we still cannot explain? Put your theory in the comments below. This is a mystery kept alive by debate. If you want more stories like this, stories that probe the edges of the known world, subscribe and hit the bell. Next week, we're diving into another chilling cold case, the unexplained disappearance of Flight 19 into the Bermuda Triangle. Until then, stay curious.